Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site, bettingangle.us, a free site. It is December 30th, 2023. Let me be one of the first to wish everyone a happy new year when it happens. Let's talk serious boxing. Let's talk about the fight for the undisputed heavyweight title between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, let me just point out, one of the things I've learned in life is that you've got to be prepared to get the macro right. That's all we're trying to do here, right? To sort through all the misinformation, because we're never going to fully agree on everything in the world, right? There's always going to be at least 20% that disagree with what eventually comes to pass, right? Right now, folks are trying to tell you that with an inverted yield curve in the United States, that we're headed for a soft landing, right? They're trying to tell you that with unprecedented world debt, that the 30-year in the United States should be at 4%, right? Now, let's just understand that there are times when you're going to disagree with the public, right? Don't expect a soft landing, in my opinion. Let's talk about this fight. Just understand, I'm just trying to get the macro right. I don't care if the world agrees with me or not. I'm just telling you how I'm going to play it. Let me just have news for you, too. The line shifting on this fight, I believe many people feel the way I do. I expect the line to shift some more. So let's get into it. Fury, Usyk, these are two great fighters. The Klitschko fight, where Fury gets his title, is a masterpiece, right? Fury is so much in control in that fight against a guy who had held the belt for years over different reigns, right? That Fury is able to put his hands behind his back. Fury has legs that Klitschko can't dream of, right? Klitschko doesn't even really start landing punches until the last round of that fight. The second Wilder fight is also a masterpiece. Understand, Deontay Wilder has only been stopped one time in his pro career. He lost to Joseph Parker by decision. He's stopped by Tyson Fury in the second and third fights. I guess he's been stopped two times in his career by one man. That second fight, Wilder's never in the fight. Wilder's so confused by the fight that after the fight, Wilder talked about how he thought he was drugged by his own corner. He couldn't believe how much slower he was than Fury, how outthought he was by Fury. Look at the film of that fight. You're going to see Fury gets the knockdown on a body shot. Wilder is that dominated. He's fighting Usyk. We need to look closely at Usyk. This is a guy who was undisputed at cruiser. This is a guy who gave Maris Briedis in Briedis' backyard his first loss as a pro. This is a guy who gave Murat Gassiev in Gassiev's backyard his first loss as a pro. Of all the tournaments that we've had recently to crown a champion in the division, I would say that cruiserweight tournament was as good as it gets. And understand, Usyk was the road fighter, right? Usyk fought big fights on the road. Well, we need to recognize he not only was undisputed at cruiser, folks, he's unbeaten today. Unbeaten with no draws. His record is better than Tyson Fury's. Fury has that draw. Granted, it's debatable from the first fight, the first fight against Deontay Wilder. Let's face it, too. Usyk doesn't have the chin problem that Fury has. right? Fury's been knocked down by a number of men, including 4 times by Wilder over 3 fights. Finally, understand the level of perfection that Usyk has given us, right? It's a bit stunning, folks. He was the Olympic gold medalist. Understand, at cruiser, as I pointed out, he beat Maris Briedis, for example. At heavyweight, he's beaten 2 guys who have had at least minor shares of the heavyweight title. He's beaten AJ, who had major shares of the heavyweight title, major titles, sanctioning bodies, and he's beaten Daniel Dubois. Importantly, he beat AJ on British soil. The 12th round of the first fight is about as good as boxing gets. With a minute left in the fight, he steps on the gas and he shows you that he could have knocked out the box office king in his backyard in a fight he, in my opinion, had already won before the last minute of that 12th round. Now, let's get off road here. I understand many people disagree with me. Importantly, both fighters have the same target market. By target market, I mean the types of fighters that they feast against. They both feast on big clunky heavyweights. If they have a coordination advantage, the fight is over. If they don't have a coordination advantage, they're going to have problems. Now, I believe there's a coordination gap in this fight that favors Alexander Usyk. I'm picking Alexander Usyk to beat Tyson Fury here. The bet I like, and the line is dropping. Don't be surprised if the favorite and underdog flip each other. The line's dropping. You used to be able to get Usyk at something like a plus 200. He was clearly the betting side of the play. Clearly. Now you're getting him at a plus 120. Consider yourself lucky, because Tyson Fury just got knocked down by a fighter in his first pro fight, right? And then, of course, that fighter hung around. Everyone wave at my daughter here. That fighter hung around and over the course of 10 rounds landed more power shots than Tyson Fury. Let's just say there's an open question on whether this Tyson Fury is peak Tyson Fury. So understand, I believe Alexander Usyk beats Tyson Fury. I'm not even sure if there's going to be a second fight, folks. Folks need to recognize that if Alexander Usyk beats Tyson Fury and becomes undisputed at heavyweight, and you and I know that's a matter of semantics, because the IBF is going to split off its heavyweight title. You're going to have AJ fighting Filip Hrgovic for the IBF title, right? Well, just understand, if Usyk becomes undisputed, the first undisputed heavyweight champ since Lennox Lewis, he will have done it in a way Lewis did not, because Lewis, of course, lost to Oliver McCall and Hasim Rahman on his way to be undisputed. Here, Usyk has never lost as a pro. He necessarily would be in the conversation of best fighter ever at heavyweight if he goes undisputed at cruiser and then becomes undisputed at heavy, going through Dubois, AJ, and Tyson Fury. The key fight to look at is Fury's first fight, in fact his only fight, against former cruiserweight champion Steve Cunningham. Right? Note that Cunningham is a righty, unlike Usyk, who's a lefty. Cunningham is so much more coordinated, than Tyson Fury. That he actually has what I call a safe harbor in the ring, where he's able to set up shop slightly outside the pocket while loading up on right hands. Understand, and you heard me mention Tyson Fury's chin. Cunningham's strategy, and it's stunning even today, was to go for the knockout. He throws and misses some huge right hands before he lands one that drops Tyson Fury like a sack of potatoes. Let me also point out, too, that Fury, and let's be clear here, Fury's one of the best I have ever seen. He's a historical heavyweight, right? Other historical heavyweights to me would be Ali, for example. Larry Holmes, who I get the feeling I think of more than the public does, right? I consider George Foreman to be a historical heavyweight. Lennox Lewis, Vitaly Klitschko, right? Those guys, I believe, can go into any era and can rough up the bellwethers. My father believed in Joe Louis. Let me just say, I watched Joe Louis, right? And Joe Louis just didn't have the foot speed to keep up with an Ali, in my opinion, or a Tyson Fury. Right? So understand, I think the world of Fury. People here know that I picked Fury over Klitschko, for crying out loud. I thought Fury was the uncrowned champion. But I need for people to understand that Fury did not have the speed to catch up with Cunningham in the normal flow of the fight. So Fury gets off the canvas and has to literally run over to Cunningham to start trying to impose his size advantage on Cunningham. Now, styles make fights. Just understand, Tyson Fury is not a George Foreman, a fighter I believe is severely underrated by history. Smaller fighters, like Steve Cunningham, were a George Foreman target market. Foreman feasted on tracking down smaller fighters behind one of boxing's stiffest, most elite jabs, and then opening up on them. Two-handed attacks. So even a Joe Frazier has to deal with George Foreman throwing big-time shots in the flow of the fight. Now, Fury can wrestle with you. Fury can get close to you and hit you with shots close up. But he's not a Foreman who, with space, let's remember, Foreman's pushing Frazier off of him, just like Lennox Lewis did. He's not a Foreman who can literally outslug you. Come looking for a smaller man and outslug that smaller man. I believe both Fury and Usyk would have problems against that kind of fighter. I believe both would have problems against a Joe Frazier, a Jack Dempsey, a Mike Tyson, right? I believe Usyk had more problems with Maris Briedis than he's going to have with Tyson Fury, or that he had with big clunky heavyweight Anthony Joshua. Right? Understand too, Tyson Fury's coming off of a close fight against Francis Ngannou and likely won't give Usyk the same level of problems that Briedis gave him. So to sum up, the line is quickly dissipating. The smart money is coming into play. Usyk has gone from a huge underdog, given less than a 40% chance of winning the fight, to a plus 120. I believe right here, you need to grab the plus 120. I expect Alexander Usyk to become the undisputed heavyweight champion. I think the fight is complicated when other odds are released, over-unders and things like that. we'll address those prop bets at a later time. Right? But I need for people to understand, and I get the pre-fight narrative from the Fury camp, which is that Fury's going to show he's the bigger man in the fight. He's just not that kind of fighter. This is not a Foreman who destroys Frazier in 2 rounds. This is not a Lennox Lewis who blows out Andrew Golota in 1 round. Right? I'm not saying Lewis fought that way in most of his fights, but when Lewis felt that he had a hand speed advantage on you and felt that you had defensive lapses, he could go after you. Here, I believe Usyk's not going to channel Cunningham. I believe Usyk would be content with a decision. That gives him more flexibility. One wonders what would have happened if Cunningham would have come in and said, let me outbox Tyson Fury, using lateral movement and quickness because Fury can't keep up. Right? Fury reminds me of a basketball great right now. He's one of the best centers I've ever seen in my life. And that's Joker of the Denver Nuggets. Right? Just understand, though, Joker doesn't have the athletic high ceiling of an Akeem Olajuwon. So as you see Joker does things that other centers can't hang with. The 3-point range, right? The passing ability, the rebounding ability. But as an athlete, he'd have the same problem Shaquille O'Neal had. When O'Neal got swept 4-0 in an NBA Finals by Olajuwon's Houston Rockets. Right here, there's a coordination gap. The faster hands, the quicker feet, the quicker reaction time, the quicker reflexes belong to Usyk. He's the underdog right now. I like the Usyk at plus 120 simply to win the fight. We'll try to leverage this into some hedge play later. That's how I see the fight. I don't expect everyone to agree with me. After all, here in the United States, you have a lot of people thinking that we're about to have a soft landing in the economy. You have a lot of people believing that inverted interest rates are the new norm, right? I don't care if I'm the only one who feels this way. I'm not. The point is the line is shifting. Your neighbors out there who are quiet, who aren't saying much to you, are twisting this betting spread. Be alert. Get some money on Usyk before he gets down to even money and you lose the betting advantage. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this YouTube video. Let me point out that Derek Chisora gave Usyk more problems at heavyweight than anyone else. Right? Life's not linear. I'm not saying Derek Chisora is as good as AJ. I'm not saying Derek Chisora is as good as Daniel Dubois. He gave Usyk a better fight than both of those men. Styles make fights. Let me hear from you in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.